We're meeting for our excursion to go to Marksburg Castle. It's right up there if you see it on top of the hill. We're going to take a motor coach to the car park to go up to the castle. You could walk there with a little path from what I understand, but we're not going to do that much walking because we'll do plenty of walking while we're there. There's our ship docked here in Koblenz. We're walking to a parking lot to get on a bus. There is the town center and the castle up on the top of the hill. And we'll get on the bus. On our way to Marksburg Castle, we drove through Koblenz and passed several houses that date back to the 1400s. We're here at the car park at the bottom of the castle area. You could take these stairs up to the castle, but our guide said we're going to walk up the road. Fortunately, we're one of the first groups that are here today, so hopefully it will not be as crowded as it could be. The Marksburg Castle is the only castle along the Middle Rhine that has never been destroyed. If coming on your own, it is open for tours in English at 1 and 4 during the summer. €11 per adult during this filming, and they offer a family ticket, which is a great discount for a family with children. Our guide introduced himself and went over the rules. No eating, no drinking, don't touch anything, and photos are fine, but no videos from here on out. The pathways slope and cause some very precarious footing. A walking stick would be helpful here. Cannons are aimed and ready for defense. Looks like we could blast some competitor's river cruise ship right out of the water. There's a garden along the outside wall of the castle, and all of the plants are identified. This makes for a pretty good selfie stop. The dining hall, a kitchen, a bed chamber. There's a nook displaying some of the instruments of the time period, and a display room of armor through the centuries, a blacksmith shop, prison with a display of some torture items. As our tour was concluding, it started to rain lightly. They're really needing the rain right now, so I'm not going to begrudge them that. This is just part of it when you're coming in the spring. After the tour, of course, there is a gift shop, a convenient post office box right outside there if you had a postage stamp, and a cafe for coffees. There's a public restroom inside, but they want 50 cents to use it. Pretty little cafe on the outside. There are some seating indoors as well. If you don't want the paid toilet inside the building, there is one in that little gray building right there at the top that is complimentary. One can also walk down the path toward the exit and marvel at some lovely resilient flowers clinging to the side of the walls to go to the treasure room where there are some letters and old writings on display. No photos are allowed inside though. We're starting our sailing down the Middle Rhine where we will find castles on the left and on the right-hand side. They provided a wonderful map so that we could follow the river's path and know what castle was what. This is where we came from. Some folks gather up on the top deck for the full view, and the very front of the ship offers splendid views, but there's no canopy overhead to protect you from the elements. From my French balcony, I can open the door and look also at the beautiful view as we're going down the Middle Rhine. See a little bit of what's coming up ahead. Starnberg Castle was built in the 12th century and shares a defensive wall with Rheinstein Castle, which was built in the 13th century, and the tower now has a restaurant and hotel. These two castles are known as the two hostile brothers. The Mouse Castle, also called the Mouse Castle by the Cat's Castle, and we'll see that one later. The Rheinfels Castle, built on the ruins of a 13th century fort, is now the home to a hotel and a museum. It is not just castles we see as we sail down the Middle Rhine. Beautiful towns hug the riverbanks below many of the castles. Often more than one historic church will be in the town as well. This town has terraced hillsides behind it, which should help with preventing mudslides and is often found in the production of grapes. The town is within view of the Cat's Castle that I mentioned earlier. Built in the 14th century but rebuilt after being heavily damaged by Napoleon's army. I continue to follow the provided map and see we are nearing the Lorelei statue. A maiden named Lorelei was betrayed by her lover and leaped into the Rhine and became a siren, luring sailors to their deaths. The Schönberg Castle, built in 966 but burned by the French in 1689 and is reconstructed. It has 3 fortresses and towers and has a hotel and restaurant. Below in the town of Oberwessel is Liebfrauenkirche, which is considered one of the most important high Gothic churches in the Rhineland. Pfalz-Grafenstein, also known as the Falls, is a toll station in connection with Gutenfels Castle. They used some pretty clever tactics to exact tolls on those who would sail past. Stalek Castle is a 12th century castle which was attacked repeatedly during wars in the 1600s and lay in ruins for 237 years. Rebuilt in 1909, it now houses a youth hostel. Nollig Castle is not really a castle. These are ruins that were part of a fort for defense. Reichenstein Castle is also known as Falkenberg. It houses a 5th-century collection of porcelain, furniture, and weapons. Above Berg Rheinstein is Rheinstein Castle. This is a 14th-century castle, and it is massive. It features a drawbridge, ivy-covered battlements, and stunning views of the Rhine. The Mouse Tower. Supposedly it gets its name because an archbishop was held prisoner here and eaten by mice. The Ehrenfels Castle is in ruins, but sits among ancient vineyards. In fact, there's a variety of grape that gets its name from this castle. Our scenic Rhine sailing comes to a close and we pull up beside a Viking sister ship so we can dock in Rudesheim. Well, we docked in Rudesheim and it's raining, so I get to try out the Viking umbrellas. We are docked right beside another Viking ship. Ours is on the outside. We pulled up to that ship and it kind of surprised some of the other people that are on the Viking Helen. Actually had a little conversation with a nice couple on the deck as we pulled in alongside and absolutely messed up their view from their balcony. Across from the ship is a pretty little walkway with some trees that have been pruned drastically. I can hear some chimes in the distance. I don't know if you can hear them. So let's go into Rudesheim and see what we can see. Decided to go up a couple of steps instead of being right by the riverside. Go up on this pretty walking path. Don't know if they share it with bicycles or not, so I'll stick to one side instead of the middle just in case. There's a nice playground over there. I don't know if it's a little school daycare or perhaps a park for other people to use. Here comes a little tourist train coming beside me. I don't see any passengers on the tourist train, so I don't know if they're done for the day or just not have many takers on the tour. The bark on these trees is very interesting. If anybody knows for sure what kind of tree it is, I'd be interested to find out. Okay, I've come to this little spot. Some people are walking to the left. This says Town Center Allstadt. Have no idea if that means I should go in here, but that's where I'm gonna go. We'll see. Oh, tunnel brought me out to a little walkway. Looks like it is leading into the town center. Should know here real soon. Yeah, looks like Rudesheim. Alright, I'll rock this way. I don't see anything really, so let's walk this way. There's a little street going uphill I could turn on, but let's just continue going down straight to explore. Okay, so it brought me along this main street that faces the river. Looks like a good many shops all along the walk there. One of our earlier German guides said you really should walk on crosswalks in Germany because they really like to obey the traffic rules. I hope that means they will stop when I go across. Yep, they will. Alright, here is a massive souvenir store. Looks like if they make it here, you should be able to find it here. I heard that you walk up any of these little alleyways and you can find some neat little restaurants and cafes. And some pretty cakes in that window. That is a cute hotel. So many cute stores for window shopping. Neat side streets and alleys to wander and get lost in. Here is a view of the Mouse Tower from land. Looks different than it did from the water. And look at this traffic warning. Your tall trucks will likely get hit by trees, and be careful not to drive off into the water. This brings our amazing day to an end. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.